welcome to day 2. Okay, Instagram, TikTok, or maybe I swapped those. I think this one's TikTok. Yeah, sorry. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We are live. I want to give you guys just a couple minutes to find the page. So hang tight with me before we jump into day 2. I'm wearing a hat today because my hair is greasy. And I'm going to go get chicken feed. We got to go get worms for the chickens and wildflower seeds to throw all around our retreat center and a couple other things today. So I'm dressed in the part today, y'all. I'm being lazy. Okay, so this one, TikTok's you're a little bit far up, but we'll make it work. So hello everybody. Where are you tuning in from while we're waiting for everybody to jump on? Because I know it takes a hot second to find live videos and refresh the page and all that jazz. Facebook's okay, cool. Facebook's popping. Hello, hello. Iceland, Virginia, Kansas, amazing. Pittsburgh. Trying to read them all. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let me see my Facebook comments are always, I love these. Hello, everyone. Yes, let me know where you are coming in from. Cool, Cali. We used to live in Laguna Beach before we moved to open our retreat center. Austria, amazing. Cool, we'll give it a couple more minutes. I know you guys are letting us know where you're tuning in from, and then we'll rock and roll. We're going into day 2, which is all about dense energy. I've got my little thoughts here that I want to be succinct with so that we can pump through some incredible pieces and trainings. And in case you guys didn't know or kind of have an idea of this at this point, we are launching the 8 Secrets to Powerful Manifesting. You guys know this is why we are celebrating and doing this these free 8 days of tidbits and pieces. This is launching on Tuesday. So excited, guys. You got to write a book and launch. It's so much fun. It's just, I love these collected energies of excitement, and you can feel how it's going to rock someone's world, and it's super, super cool. So that launches on Tuesday, but we're doing some fun stuff prior, right? So 8 days, and each of the days are tied into some pieces of the secrets that are in the book, right? So there is a compiled portions of my life work and really everything that you need to be able to manifest consistently, and also understand a huge piece of my methodology we're going to talk about today, counter manifesting, right? So we're going to be talking about that. TikTok keeps saying that we have no memory, so we'll just see if TikTok keeps working. But this is my life work in essence, and it took me years to write, but these 8 secrets are everything that I use still to this day. That's what I love about it, is how do you make something, and this was a big question for me, how do you make something that's timeless? How do you make information that, regardless of where they're at in life, if they are completely debilitated, which was me once upon a time, right? Super miserable, unhappy, feeling like you can't manifest anything you want, it works for you. You could also be completely successful, happy in many areas of your life, and you just want to grow and further abundance, also for you. If some areas are working and some areas are not, or you get it and it's gone, also works for you. So it's so universal. So I'm kind of proud of myself in that sense. So anyways, by the way, if you guys haven't yet, I know many of you are going and buying it right now and investing in it because there's lots of bonuses, but you have to get them before as a pre-order to tap into all of those bonuses. And again, as I said yesterday, there is, if you buy one book, tons of bonuses, a free event, a virtual event, all kinds of things. I'm really excited about something else too, which I'll tell you guys in a couple days, but you better keep your ears perked because it's an incredible opportunity if you buy a book. And then, what was I going to say? Oh, and then if you buy a few extra books, I know a lot of you have been saying that, you're like, I'm buying 5, I'm buying 10, I want to buy 20. There's obviously tons more incredible experiences if you want to gift them to your family and your friends. So the8secrets.com, all of the details are there. But don't go away just yet, or open up an extra tab while you hear me rattling off so that we can jump into our training for today. Cool? So day 2 is all about energy, but not in a woo-woo way. right? You guys know what woo-woo is at this point? Let me know. I know I say it a lot. This is all about detangling the density that exists in us. That's literally what, that whole secret is about, is how do you properly do that? And so I noticed, and where this secret really came from, and the parts that again, I'm kind of giving you just little tidbits because I want you guys to dive into the full chapter because it is a lot to absorb, but it can happen really quick. But when I looked at energy, going backwards into my early 20s, where I was very lightly, again, I always say that, I'm not a scientist. I decided not to get degrees in it. I was just surrounded by scientists and doctors and people who are working at NASA and crazy stuff, y'all. I know maybe I don't look the part. Maybe, if you're in that world too, then you know that you never look the part. But I was just surrounded by all these incredibly intelligent, genius type folks, which is, go figure, it's in my lineage too. But I remember sitting there learning about energy in such a way, from maybe a physics level, quantum, meta, you name it, and sitting there going, this makes perfect sense. It meets all of my logic. Now, mind you, in my early 20s, I was still in abusive relationships. I had an eating disorder. I did not have life figured out. So just knowing about energy from a scientific level didn't do poop for me, right? It didn't actually shift anything inside of myself because there was a trilogy of healing that needed to happen. And the trilogy was, I needed this psychology, right? I needed to jump into my mind. Yes, understand the energy, which not everyone needs to understand the energy, but the tools that I've built because I understand the energy is what I want to gift to you all. And then the miraculous, right? The spiritual, the love aspect, as I call it too. So all of that is really needed to be able to manifest. So day 2 is so perfect in that sense. So the way that I'm talking about energy, although I certainly love to go on the more spiritual end of things, because I don't know, do you guys agree that like the ancient wisdoms knew far sooner than science did everything that science is still trying to figure out today? But it's a knowingness. And that's what I call intuition and our heart space and all that stuff that seems woo-woo. I mean, Einstein, Aristotle, supposedly, right? I didn't live when they lived, but all of these incredibly intelligent, Edison, they talk about tapping into this collective mind or their intuition guiding them, or energy is everything. That's just the end of the conversation. And from a scientific perspective, even, it's absolutely true. But these ancient folks or intuitives in your day, in your life now, you can see they know, right? They know exactly what they're talking about, even if they don't have, the scientific backing behind it, right? Or the logical backing. And so that was something that I was finding myself doing when I would sit in these, I say rooms, but like, I was friends with or whatever. It's just, it makes more sense to say we all sat in a room. But when I would be with these highly intelligent people doing unbelievable things behind the scenes for humanity, most of them, you wouldn't even know their name if I said it. But they were so incredibly intelligent, but they had this deep understanding. And when I would sit there and I'd be like, yeah, and so da 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 da, and it happens like this, and I'd be just, checking my work with them, and they'd be like, yes, absolutely, that's exactly how that works. But I didn't have any formal knowledge or, other than myself studying, but it just made sense. So I was like, maybe I got some of that ancient wisdom in me, right? Can anyone attest to that? So any hoodle doodle, all of that over the years, obviously my life completely turned around. Right around 25, I just figured things out. I didn't know I'd be teaching manifestation, go figure. It wasn't what I was teaching right away, but it is so perfect and right where I need to be. And the knowledge that I bring to it, I'm so excited to continue to share with the world. So let's kind of scratch the surface on how I want to talk about energy today. The rest of the days also dive into a little bit of energy, but let's make it happen. Cool? Okay, so mastering and clearing your energy, if I had to like umbrella it, or if you want to call it something else, like redirecting your energy. Because manifestation in, the context of today, manifestation is about how our energy is sent outwardly into existence, into the universe, into our environment, whatever you want to call it. And then it responds back, right? So that saying of what you give out, you receive back. Now, the problem is that some of us get confused. We're like, how could I possibly be sending out something like that? Because what I'm getting and how my life looks, like I'm a good person. I haven't done anything wrong. Why? I don't want this, right? We're going to talk about that unconscious communication that you're having energetically with existence. Because even from, a more scientific perspective, our energy, our thoughts, our actions, of course, everything is emitting a vibration. We are literally sending out a frequency of some sort in all moments. And people are receiving it, and the environment is receiving it, and they're responding, and blah, 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 blah. Now, our response system is usually jacked up because of our past and our programming. That's a part of counter manifestation. We have to change our response system. That does wonders for manifestation. But even from the standpoint of, let's say you're in a coffee shop and someone walks in and they give you a heebie-jeebie feeling, or you're like, I don't know what's up with that person, but they just feel weird, or I don't know why, but I just don't think we're supposed to get on this plane today, or whatever, right? Have you had one of those moments? Let me know, and please tell the story, because it's really logical, right? When you think about it like this, there has been a time where you couldn't explain why, but you just felt off. Or from another standpoint, you're around someone, you're like, they feel so good. Like, I don't know, I just feel different around them. I feel so happy, or I feel so excited or joyful or at peace, or whatever it is. Their frequency is interacting with your frequency, and it's either harmonious or disharmonious. We're in a frequency soup. We're in an energy soup all day long. And you can, take it from a more, I know I keep saying scientific, but you can take it from one perspective, and you can say, we're receiving, depending on the person, tens, hundreds, thousands of data bits at all moments, right? We're always processing everything that's happening around us on an unconscious level, where so much more is happening underneath the surface, right? Well, from an energetic level, absolutely as well. That's the same thing. Everything has a frequency signature. If, literally, I mean, a plankton, I think, a plankton is like 2 hertz per second. It's super low, but everything gives off some type of an energy or vibration, right? And so, of course, humans, even more so than other things, because we give off quite a bit of energy. Each emotion has a different vibratory level, right? We know all of this. And so you're able to already, whether you're aware of it or not, or you want to call it something different, you can read energy. You are all the time. The problem with manifestation not happening the way you want is the energy that you're unconsciously reading is unconsciously or consciously triggering you all the time, and it's throwing your personal vibration off. And that is why you will counter manifest what you want, because you'll get these triggers, or you'll get these frequencies, you'll feel this vibration that does not feel harmonious to you, but you are technically in resonance with it because you can feel it, right? Whether it's because it needs to heal something, you need to understand something, or it's meant for you, or it's highlighting some part of you that's like afraid, whatever. You are receiving it for some reason and interpreting it. But your interpretation, again, it might be, we don't want that wonderful thing because it's not gonna, pan out, or love is always lost, or money is evil, or I'm unworthy. Now that all sits in the subconscious. And if you want to go with, I think it was, sorry, my nose is running. I think if you want to go with Freud, why was it Freud who did the 80-20 rule? But 80% is subconscious, kind of like the tip of the iceberg, and 20% is conscious. Sometimes I'm like, I think like 2% might be conscious sometimes. But you'll have these conscious thoughts. You'll send out energy in a beautiful, conscious way as to what you desire. But if, let's just go with that, that ratio of 80% of what you don't want is going in an oppositional direction. So you're sending out an oppositional energy. Or as soon as you set the intention, of course, truly, like, I don't think the universe has like a consciousness. It's not like a higher power that's like, I want good for you, but it is a Xerox, and it will copy and send out everything that you are sending. Oh, thanks, son. And it will send out, as I think about 10,000 things. Sorry, I'm such like a squirrel. This is the ADD and ADHD kicking in. Once I'm zoned in, I'm good, but just one little thing, and I'm like, what? Where are we? I think most of you can attest to that, unfortunately. Distraction. So 80%, 20%, I'm going to repeat myself so I can get back into the energy. So 80% is in that subconscious piece. And so again, if we have these stored responses, even if we're not aware of the frequency that just got introduced to us consciously or fully consciously, we still react to it. It still can shift us in some way. Or again, that oppositional energy of, even though I want this thing, the universe, that's what I was saying. The universe is just a copier. It's just going to send out exactly what you put into it. So if you guys agree with that, and if you can agree with that, and I can tell you right now, it's absolutely true in every experience I have ever had. But if that's the case, If the universe, as we call it, right? If our manifestation system is just giving us copies in clearer form than we can see because it's buried in our minds and we're protecting the information, then what beautiful feedback we're always receiving if we are in fact counter manifesting. And counter manifesting, as a reminder, y'all, if any of you are new, it is the process in which you are, again, we're always manifesting all the time. You don't just manifest. I know I use the words sometimes differently, but you're not just manifesting when you say what you want. We are energetic systems. We are energetic beings. Our body is biochemical and electrical in nature. We are always sending out, we are antennas. We are human antennas, receiving and transmitting all the time, right? So that being an absolute truth, right? We're always sending something outwardly, but that communication system, we're not aware of. So that means all of the work, at least for today, right? And in essence, with a counter manifestation, it is not getting what you want, but not understanding the conversation behind it. It means you're still manifesting. You're just manifesting what's buried in your mind. You're manifesting the fears that are buried in your subconscious. So all of the work is beautifully uncovering that. Now, my rule, and it's absolutely true, is you do not have to, because you might have a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, and a lot of fear sitting in your subconscious right now. That is absolutely okay. I certainly did. And I avoided it. I got really good at avoiding it, which was worse because I was mastering pretending like everything was okay until I'd have these like blow up moments. But my blow up moments, I was alone because it was the only time that it was safe to fully express, because I was told not to express. You're over emotional, all of that stuff. And I'm like, it's because I'm so starved. I'm not expressing my authentic self. I'm not who I am, right? Of course that's going to be painful. It's just, we have an event going on at the Heartland right now, and I was speaking yesterday. And we're having this beautiful conversation with the group. And I was like, of course you are in pain right now. You're not operating as you truly are. It is an incredible feedback system that you aren't happy right now, or that you are in pain. Because if it worked and you were happy when you were being inauthentic, or you were happy enough, you would keep doing it, right? We're going to talk about perceived rewards today. But what a beautiful gift if you choose to see it as such, that you have not been given what you most want when you're not in the right space to receive it. We have to step into our authenticity, step into our healing. And going backwards, what I was going to say, healing can be easy. We don't have to go back to the traumas. I know a lot of people, I've seen some therapies where they're like, go back into the room and reimagine it all. And I'm like, I have seen with many people, I've worked with a lot of people on this planet. That one is it's a tricky one. That's what we'll call it. It's not always a plus. So that's actually where it birthed, when I saw this coach bringing this woman into her 2-year-old self into this time where she was really in a lot of pain when she was 2. That woman, who was in her 60s at the time, was rocking back and forth on the floor, could not even talk like a 2-year-old. And I walked in the room and I was like, beep, beep, no. But it was beautiful. I pulled her out of it. We worked it out. But I was like, you do not bring someone back into the trauma. We don't have to. We have to work on the belief and the energy that lives in the now because of that trauma. I've worked with people where their programming and some of their traumas are so buried that we can't go back. So if I had to have them access all of their traumas to be able to heal every little branch, you guys remember when we talked about the root and the branches? We'd never get there. We would never get there. And it would be too painful. They'd be too triggered. The healing would take too long, right? But if we can rectify the behaviors in the now and moving forward, it's good as gold, right? Okay, so anyways, I kind of went off. So first thing I want to talk about is where dense energy comes from. I think you guys know. Comment below where you think dense energy comes from. Now, dense energy being any type of energy within yourself that is sent outwardly and creates counter manifestations. So if you're not getting what you want, right? And we've talked about this, and we're going to talk about this in the next couple of days, but those thoughts, those beliefs, what sits in the mind, what becomes, because our thoughts, right? Strong enough thought, strong enough trigger, it can, and usually always does. Obviously there's some type of communication happening, but as the frequency hits us, we resonate with it, or we, hold on to it, we catch it, we understand it, it feels harmonious, disharmonious, whatever it is, it's going to release neurohormones in our body. And our body's going to further respond. right? So now we're having a full flooded, very, at least it feels, very realistic response to whatever is happening. But that density over time it compacts like cement, or at least it sure feels like it. But the cool thing is that we can pull those suckers up, and instead of it being like cement, it can be like layers to an onion, and we're just peeling them off, getting back to the core, which is our authentic self. We've got to remove the beliefs that come from our past that no longer serve us, our programming, our childhood programming, our adolescent, and beyond. Okay, so I know you guys are talking about negative thoughts, old programming, stored trauma, all that stuff. Absolutely, right? So dense energy is all that stuff from the past. And so limiting beliefs, the subconscious real. I got some of my authentic lifers in here for sure. So the subconscious real, that's what I call the bubble of all that falls underneath that. The traumas, the past programming. And by the way, y'all, just as a reminder, a trauma can be anything. It's just an energetic stamp where the emotions or the experience was so not high, vibrationally speaking, but it was so much at once that it did create some type of a stamp in you, and then you created some way to avoid it moving forward or protect yourself from experiencing that high level of emotion again. The unfortunate thing, but also the beautiful thing, is it doesn't work. We simply cannot run far enough away from the energetic stamp it creates. We need to dissolve it. Kind of like a scar tissue. We got to go in there and work it up for it to go away. Otherwise, it still always sits underneath the surface, right? And again, it can be easy. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be painful. I can tell you right now, even though I have worked through so many of my traumas, and I can tell you right now, honestly, there is no trauma from my past, and even the recent one that I experienced with my miscarriage, and my dad dying, my dog dying, all of those things all of the loss of many of my friends. I mean, all kinds of traumas, and I won't say any more just for trigger warning reasons. But all the things that I've experienced, and I know that each of you have experienced too in your own ways, regardless of the depth of the trauma, it's just the energetic stamp. So going in the reverse as well, it could be you got rejected in the playground and everybody laughed. That can be as serious of a trauma as abuse. It's just how your brain receives it and what state you were in the moment in which you received it. So regardless, sometimes people will come to me and they're like, Mandy, I don't have a ton of trauma, but gosh, I sure have a lot of issues. And I'm like, this isn't first of all, we're not in competition. So you don't need to have what you perceive or what the world has showed you can be labeled as a trauma. The way that I'm talking about it is an energetic stamp where the energy is still running through you. And, in some way it rewired some things into what I call a more inauthentic state. Okay, so we know where dense energy comes from, the past, the programming, all of that stuff. The reason that dense energy messes us up now, obviously it's pretty obvious, but let's go through it, is it's dense, it's low vibrational. Like master manifestors and the best manifestations happen when we're in high vibratory levels, when we're in high emotions, joy, enlightenment, unconditional love, acceptance, whatever it is. The density that comes from the subconscious real in the ways that don't work. Obviously, you can have wonderful things sitting in your subconscious too. The subconscious is not bad. It's just an incredible storage system that we might need to clean up, some of the filing systems and reorganize. And so if we look at how things are currently stored, sometimes it's quite dense, right? Because it sits in fear and pain and, anger, maybe you've turned it into, which by the way, anger is better than hopelessness in my mind, right? And vibrationally speaking, anger is higher than shame and guilt. So sometimes when we sit too long in a dense energy, we will revert to a slightly higher, although it seems not like a good one, we will actually revert to a slightly higher but still dense vibration. So I've seen a lot of people who go from, pain, hopelessness, helplessness, whatever it is, shame, guilt, near death vibration. And then all of a sudden they just find themselves extremely angry with the world all the time. It's a better place for them to be than that denser vibration. Somewhere inside of them, they unconsciously chose that. Obviously, we don't want to sit in anger because it shuts down our organs over time, but we can step up a little bit more over time as well and keep climbing the vibrational or emotional ladder. But I was actually going to say, I have a chapter in this and I label the emotional chart and then how to jump up it. So again, or this book, because we're not going over the emotional chart today. We're talking about, the density of energy in totality. But dense energy also equals, low level emotions, basically. And we don't avoid the emotions, right? We're not toxic positivity. We see it with curiosity. we don't get more emotional and pour our incredible creative conscious energy into it, we take a few steps back and say, why do I feel like absolute shit right now? Why does this feel this way? That I don't want to experience this emotion anymore. And we just get curious with it instead of saying, I'm judging myself for feeling it, or it's reminding me and re-triggering me of the exact trauma, or the world is so, wrong to me, whatever it is. No. We're just getting curious. Okay, so dense energy. Second piece is why dense energy causes counter manifestation. Obviously, as you guys know, I kind of already run around the whole gamut because I go on my tangents, but let's just tackle that for full clarity. Dense energy creates counter manifestations because dense energy is literally low vibrational. Matter is moved more slowly. So when I worked on psychosomatic illnesses, I saw the mind. It was a very slow process because it was such dense energy, but over time it manifests a physical ailment in the body, right? So that is, in essence, what I would call matter made manifest. If you can grow, I want to be careful because I'm on a social media platform, if you can create some type of physical thing in your body, let's call it that, then that you're literally moving matter. Physical things are showing up and moving around or becoming or unbecoming, or whatever it is, right? So if that's the case, let's expand that outwardly, right? We can manipulate matter in all areas. Now we see this with people who have the cool skills of telekinesis. They can move chi energy, all that jazz too, right? They're directing their consciousness. Or I remember this one, and I'll leave all the details out. I usually tell this at events, but when monks do some type of different meditations over people, and I've seen it in real time. You can see something shrink in real time, completely matter moved, right? But what happens? Why is that? Because they're mastering their energy. So if we master our energy, y'all, and break immediately, because I can already hear your thoughts, break immediately the idea of what mastering means. It is about progress, not perfection. Every day, I had plenty of dense energy that I had to work through, y'all. But every day, I focused on getting 1% better than I was yesterday, getting into higher vibratory experiences in life, feeling more empowered, which was a huge vibrational lift for me. Because I was like, I can't feel happy right now. I'm angry, or I'm upset, or I'm feeling like the sky's gonna fall. Well, then let me build the tools to empower myself so that I'm like, doesn't matter if the sky falls, I got this. And that for me worked. But everyone's a little bit wired differently. So we're making sure that we make this an authentic process for you. We want to bring that density to something higher. So if you can agree with that, and please post below, claim this. I claim to master my energy. I claim, or I am working on whatever feels right for your heart, and your mind that you can get on board with. Every day now, moving forward, you're going to get 1% better at mastering you. This isn't about manifestation. I'm getting all passionate, y'all. Get me off my soapbox or put me on one. Manifestation is not about us manipulating our environment only. And the best manifestors have mastered themselves so well that they know how to interact with all that is, all of their environment, all of existence properly. They know how to create a communication system that serves them, or, my personal rule, serves the world in the highest good of all. I manifest for all, right? But I'm taken care of in the process. That's what I like. There are certainly manifestors who are all about them. And if their energy is strong enough and they've mastered themselves, it's not about being a good or bad person. It's just about having totally aligned energy and aligned, I'm just saying all of their thoughts and their subconscious go in one direction type of thing. Does that make sense? I digress. So if we can master ourselves, master our energy, then regardless of what shows up, what's going on in the world right now, what's been going on in the world for the, COVID, all that, what's been going on in the world forever, technically, there's always going to be something to throw us off our energy. But if we master it, we can start moving matter as we so choose. Imagine how beautiful of a world it could be if we all remembered and mastered ourselves in such a way, cleared our dense energy, that we were all living in high vibratory levels, or the majority of us are and were. Society hadn't lied to us anymore and told us that we can't do it, that we're powerless. Because I'll tell you what, right now, if you have a phone or a computer and you're able to watch me, you can manifest anything you want. You are already so incredibly blessed. So no excuses and no shame, obviously. Love yourself through it, but you can absolutely master yourself and do something incredible with your life, with your energy, and for the world. That's my belief. Okay, so anyways, why dense energy causes counter manifesting. Do we get that now? Thumbs up. Does that feel good? Did that totally track? It makes sense, right? That density moves so slowly. And of course, it's on a vibratory level where everything that exists, like think about this for a second. If I lived in consistent hopelessness, what's available on that vibration? Like just imagine like a whole plane of reality. Like imagine like it's one whole world. Pretend there's a flat earth or something. Let's just go with that. Don't worry, we're not talking about that. But just go with like one plane of for vibratory reasons, right? And it's all hopelessness. And then there's one above it, it's all anger. And then there's one above it and it's all neutrality. And there's one above it and it's all happiness, love, joy, whatever it is, right? But imagine there's a whole reality available to hopelessness. That means that everything that we have in our environment, in our reality, vibrates at the same rate of hopelessness. Most often, unless something dives in, sometimes you get some ups and downs or you move through the realities, quote unquote, the mental states. Your perception changes so much that you perceive that your environment has also changed with, right? That certainly has happened to me. And then the environment does. But let's just say that, right? Think about that. What is available on the vibration or the reality of hopelessness? Probably not too many things that we want, right? What's on the vibration of anger? What's on the vibration of neutrality? Which, read the book to kind of understand. Neutrality is pure potential. It's actually a really great place to be in the way that I, talk about it. What is on the vibration of joy? So mastering ourselves, which what I'm talking about today, removing and detangling the dense energy is unbelievable magic to your manifestation process. Because think about it. If let's say that you want to get here, but you have an when you tangle up your hair or you tangle up a rope or your shoelaces won't undo because it's so tight, just imagine that if you wanted to get there, you'd have to be like this because the tangle is going all over the frickin' place. And then you hit a knot, so you can't even get there, right? You're trying to get there, but there's so much density. There's so much confusion and chaos. But imagine if you untangle all of it and it's just, there you are. That's literally what happens. Because you have no subconscious real sending out oppositional energy. You have no, or a very small part of you, or like we were talking about yesterday, you have so much awareness as to when you are going to create dense energy, when something awesome is on its way to you, that you're like, nope, I'm keeping the blockages clear, and we're on a straight shot towards what we desire. And that's what happens. For those of you who've seen some of my videos, or I think there's some recent ads out where I'm talking about like the lamp or the laser, I read that in a CIA file talking about manipulating matter and energy, y'all. Talk about science, right? I read that and I was like, ooh, how do I turn this into like a lesson of my own? How do I understand this? And it was the lamp or the laser. Our energy is sent outwardly in all directions when we operate from an improper subconscious real. But when we detangle the dense energy that sits in our subconscious, we become a laser. Boom, straight shot to what we want. And again, speaking of vibration, if we want to feel, which we'll talk about emotions more over the next couple of days, if we want to feel joy most of the time, we have to detangle the denser vibratory levels or the denser emotions that show up to drop us back down, or weigh us down, pull us down, whatever. Okay, last piece that I want to talk about before I let you all go on this beautiful Sunday and I go get my chicken feed and wildflower seeds and all kinds of fun stuff. If you guys aren't already, make sure you're watching my stories because I want to share all those silly little things with you guys. Normally Instagram is my biggest way to do that. So for Facebook and TikTok, find me on Instagram, find me on all of the platforms because sometimes I'm putting out content on one that I'm not on the other. Sometimes I'll share it to all. Obviously TikTok's a whole nother ball game. So definitely find me on the other platforms. Okay, so last one is how to navigate your energy for conscious manifesting, right? For what you want. Now, again, I hate to say it, but I'm saying it. The book has the full kit and caboodle, and I don't want to rush through. And I think that it's like you don't have to take notes when you have a book, right? You have all the notes in front of you. You can revert back to something that didn't make sense, all that jazz, right? So the one that I want to talk about, which is one piece of detangling, just one piece, is what I call perceived rewards. This is my little journal. Guys, I'm an avid journaler. I want to create a journal. I think I should do that because I've journaled since I was 5. I think I'd make a pretty freaking awesome journal. So anyways, it's called perceived rewards. Everybody say it with me. Perceived rewards. The biggest word that I want you to remember is perceived, because everything's a perception, right? Oops, sorry, I kicked it. Perceived, 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 because it's not an actual reward. I figured out this lesson. I still remember where I was. Most of my lessons just kind of drop on my head because I can't help it. My brain doesn't shut off, so it could either go in a really dysfunctional place like it used to. Now it just goes to constantly trying to solve problems for others, for myself, whatever. This was when I was living in Scandinavia, and I was walking out of the boathouse. I had just been kayaking, and I was walking up these stairs, and all of a sudden this thought just like hit me. I remember I was literally on the edge of the boathouse about to walk up to the house, and I sat there and I was like, people only do two things. They run away from pain or they run towards pleasure, right? That's just kind of how the brain is wired, technically. But people perceive that they're going to get something out of the things that they don't consciously want. But the subconscious perceives that there's a reward there. So go with me on this. I use this example. Back in the day, I had a lot of dysfunctional relationships. That was friendships as well as intimate relationships. I craved dysfunction, but and I'm not a victim here. It's just that that's what showed up, right? Now, consciously, I'd be like, no, I want them to not take advantage of me or steal from me or cheat on me or lie to me. No, who would want that, right? Some people might even get angry if you're like, you're actually asking for it, right? Who would that trigger? And it didn't trigger me because I would totally judge myself. I was really good at self-loathing and saying everything is my problem, even when it wasn't actually, or technically in my perception now. I have to assume responsibility regardless, right? There's always a lesson. There's always a blessing. I just have to choose to perceive it as such. So anyways, going back to that, right? Now, if you had asked me, you'd be like, why would you ever choose this? It's so dysfunctional. This is so unhealthy. It's so abusive. And I'd be like, I know, oh, it's terrible. But if you talk to my subconscious, it'd be like, emotionally unavailable people, love it. People that eventually will hurt me so I can leave, love it. The perception of certainty, of dysfunction and things not making sense goes back to my childhood. Love it. So my perceived reward was I felt safe and certain. This was a world I knew. This made sense to me. It didn't make sense, but it made sense. Like in my subconscious, I wanted that. For me to have a healthy relationship, the few healthy friendships and relationships I tried to step into during that time in my life, I would totally sabotage, or I would run from, or I wasn't attracted, or, my friend wasn't very fun, or whatever. So I literally, like my receptors, and who can, please say this right now, because I hear this so much with people where they're like, why do I keep dating such dysfunctional people? Or why does he or she keep hurting me? And I'm like, because you want it. That doesn't mean that you need to feel shameful for it. You need to love yourself through it, but you need to be aware of it and be willing to assume, this hair is driving me insane, guys. And you need to be willing to assume responsibility for your role in it. And I always imagined it like one persona. For those of you who don't know persona work, definitely get the book because I freaking love the persona work that I do. It helped me so much, and it's helped so many people. But one persona dancing with another persona. So it wasn't even an authentic relationship. I'm sitting there like, I wish he would love me the way I want to be loved. No, I don't. Maybe a small part of me. But really, I was saying, I want to heal this part of me that I think is broken, and I'm looking at it the wrong way. So I'm thinking that this is the way I'm going to heal it, but really I need to step out of it. I need to get rid of the dense energy. I need to detangle why a part of me, at least, is attracted to this, because there was a perceived reward of not having to be fully seen, not having to be fully heard, not having to express myself all the way, or truly look inwards and grow. I got to stay where I was. Now I hope this lesson is hitting y'all pretty hard. If you're in that space right now, I love you so much through it. It is not a bad place to be if you're willing to change it. But perceived rewards will totally throw you off. So today, the piece that I want to impart on you until we meet tomorrow for day 3 is start thinking about the areas of your life that you don't like. That could be in your career, money, work. I guess, those can be separate things, or you can put them all into one. You could even say purpose work. You could say, love, relationships, specific relationships, like relationship with parents, relationship with mom, relationship with spouse, but whatever, or relationships in the past if you're like, I don't really have any right now. And just ask yourself, if I were willing in this moment to not judge myself, to assume responsibility for where I'm at or where I was, or how all of it went down, whatever, in an appropriate way. Again, you're not, if you were sitting there and you were being abused, I'm not saying for you to be like, I asked to be abused. Really take what I'm saying with a fat grain of salt, right? Hear the parts that actually make sense to you in this moment. But assume responsibility for your now and moving forward. Then ask yourself, what could have been my perceived rewards? What sense of certainty, safety, predictability, or lack thereof, right? Sometimes we become certain with uncertainty, and that becomes a toxic cycle as well. But what was my perceived rewards? Why would I choose that? Did they remind me of someone? Did I get to shut down? Did they solidify? I remember talking to one of my friends about this forever ago. She was in her 60s. I went to go stay with her for a little while. And we just have a blast together. And unfortunately, her husband had passed in a really crazy, abrupt accident. And she was, dating this other guy, and he was like, their relationship was very tug and pull, hot and cold. He would disappear. She's like, I just want him to like marry me and things be normal and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, you don't. She's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you want to repeat the cycle of what happened with your husband. And if he left abruptly and unpredictably, you're recreating the unpredictability because you don't know if this could last too. And she just bawled her eyes out and she's like, you are so effing right. Oh my God. And then she was able to rectify the relationship and fix that part of her that was so wounded. So beautifully so, but the way she was going about it was causing her more pain. So perceived rewards are perceptions because they're not rewarding. They cause us pain and they're completely unnecessary. But they served a purpose, so we thought, but now we can say, I'm meeting that need in a healthier way. I am choosing a more elevated version because I was living in this emotional vibration, or this was what I thought was, correct, but it's not. And if you guys watched day 1 yesterday, you're already doing emotional check-ins or energetic check-ins. So you already know a little bit of what you're feeling. So you know what vibration you're typically living on. And again, I'm going to say it like a broken record. Do not judge yourself, regardless of where you're at right now. I have been in the lowest of lows, y'all. And I literally, there's places I could never emotionally go again. I simply cannot. It's completely rewired in me. It would take so long to try to rewire it back. And I don't think it's remotely possible. So give yourself grace regardless of where you're at. Get curious with me. Growth can be fun. And just pay attention to your perceived rewards. Do it now if you can. Jot it all down. Feel free to post it in the lives that are going to be saved here. I would love to hear them because the more that I hear from you guys, the more I can help other people if I hear a new insight too. I love, understanding more of the perceived rewards and the wiring and even the fears. Feel free to share. I love hearing this stuff. Okay, let me know how day 2 felt. Instagram, I'll post it up. TikTok, thank you for sharing and being with me today. If you can still see me and hear me, of course, because it seems to be doing something funky. And Facebook, you always know I love you so much. And tomorrow is day 3. I always post, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm posting like a little thing that says day 3 and what we're going to go over. I always do it within the hour that I'm going to go live. So once you see that, check the time I posted it and know that either the live is already up and you can rewatch it because it's recorded, or that I'm going to be popping up soon. So, keep refreshing whatever social media you're finding me on so that you can join me live. Okay, as a reminder, 8 Secrets to Powerful Manifesting. It's out on Tuesday. Celebrate with me. So many of you are. Thank you so much. It means the freaking world to me. If you're enjoying these little, snippets of me going wild with you guys and how much I talk about it being so succinct and so many extra magical pieces within this book. I'm so, so, so excited. So grab it at any of your bookstores, online, Amazon, or the8secrets.com. We have every option there. That's the easiest way for me to get all the bonuses to you as well. If you can use that website, that's awesome. The8, and 8 is the number, secrets.com. Pinning it to the top of the page here on Facebook, and then TikTok and Instagram. It is the link in bio. All right, that is it. I'm going to start turning all of these off. And in case no one has told you today, I love you all. Bye.